the light green socks as well. They'll attack right to left here as we wait for the opening whistle. And there it is. And we're underway on a Monday night. Happy Labor Day as Sporting KC II hosts Colorado Rapids II. These two teams both in the Western Conference, of course. Both checking in outside the playoff line. Both have been eliminated from playoff contention. But both teams, both systems, both coaches talking about all the opportunities that still are in front of them here this season. And the chance for finishing strong and heading into the offseason with more, of course, developmental opportunities in search of 3 points. This is the final match at home for Sporting Kansas City. They only have 2 matches left, including tonight. So today, idle next week, and then they'll play in what is the season finale coming up on September the 18th. Rapids 2 will play 2 more next weekend and then the following weekend. This one controlled here for Sporting KC. This is Davis, who slots one up ahead. Jake Davis, that is, first-team player for SKC, making his 11th start with Sporting Kansas City 2. Flag is up here. A foul on the offensive side there, and it will break the way of Colorado. Sporting Kansas City 2 has changed up the formation, the personnel, over the last couple of weeks, experimenting, getting more players involved as this soccer ball has come loose onto the concrete area here. And it will be retrieved and set to put back in play. However, we have to wait for our ready for play because it was a foul that was called, not a throw in there. All the way back towards cage and sent away by Rodriguez, who is wearing the orange tonight for the contrast with the green. Highlighted him briefly in the open. 20-year-old from Broomfield, Colorado originally. He was the starting goalkeeper last week for Colorado against Whitecaps FC 2. 90 minutes, just 1 goal allowed, made 6 saves, which was his season high. Looking to continue to build on that as Colorado picked up the win a little more than a week ago. Right back to Rodriguez, top of the 6, and outletted along the far side to the left. 2-1 was the score against Whitecaps FC 2 up north of the border at Swangard Stadium. So it is 2 in a row on the road for Colorado Rapids 2. First team within Colorado on the road for close to 10 days up until yesterday. I forget what it looks like at home, but we'll be very, very excited to be back there. Let's give you the full tactics here tonight as tonight's match is presented by Adidas. And once again, we thank you for joining us here on MLSNextPro.com. We've talked about Rodriguez in the goal cage for Colorado quite a bit already. He is the keeper with Steve Flores, Danny Garcia, Blake Malone, and Omar Gomez in front of him. Colorado's through offensively here, looking for Hanya as it escaped him. The rest of that Rapids 2 lineup in the midfield, it's Robinson Aguirre, Philip Mayaka, and Dauda Amadou. Chase up ahead for Kansas City. Good ball through on this right side. Shot towards goal, and Rodriguez can cover it up. Good early opportunity for Kansas City. First shot is on frame, but it is denied and held easily by Rodriguez. Shot came from Ryan Reed, the forward from Leawood, Kansas. Go back through that Colorado lineup for you as it was interrupted there. We are in just the 4th minute. Already a couple of testy moments off that back line for Rodriguez, and Rapids 2 using Rodriguez quite a bit on this far right side. Challenge here, and that will be a foul and a free kick coming for SKC 2 right on the edge of the attacking third. So once again, quickly for Colorado, let's get through that. Rodriguez, the goalkeeper, Flores, Garcia, Malone, and Gomez across the back. Aguirre, Mayaka, and Amadou in the midfield. And up front, Maclovio Sweat, Yosuke Hanya, and Connor Miller from left to right, with Hanya, who is the striker, in the middle. For Sporting Kansas City 2. They will send what is a total of 5 players to the top of the 18-yard box here. Colorado dropping nearly all numbers back as we wait for the service. 2 hands in the air from both servicemen. Right foot served towards goal. Near post, headed on through. Did it come up high for a possible handball against the defense? It did not. It was actually Kansas City who had the touch come up on them. So it will be a free restart here for Colorado. Getting involved there as we expect to see quite a bit, was Bagayoko. Far side left, distinctive hairstyle that he will attack with. Starting up on the left wing. Let's give you the full SKC II position by position lineup. It is Carlito Ceylon, the goalkeeper. Haven't heard from him in the opening 6 minutes. Natty Clark at left back. Isai Easley, Kave Rod, and Mikey Lennis rounding out the back line left to right. Jake Davis, Josh Coan, and Colin Fernandez in the midfield, with the aforementioned Bagayoko at left wing. Guy McKaylee gets the start at striker tonight, and Ryan Reed, who had the shot just a little while ago, he's on the right side wing for this Labor Day evening contest as the sun sets here in Greater Kansas City. They've controlled the possession, have had the better of it, and we have a whistle and a foul coming against Rapids 2. It's outside of the area, just outside of it, 19 yards out from the byline, and it will be a free kick coming for SKC II in a very, very dangerous area. Sporting Kansas City has taken it to Colorado in the opening going, looking to find a way to strike. They'll line it up with quite the lengthy wall, and they might have to be backed up by referee Anya Voigt. And she is going to make that adjustment here and spray out the line. There are 4 players huddled around this ball before the service will be taken, all in Kansas City blue. And we'll see what they decide to do. It is a now 4-player triangle around the ball. Let's see what type of creativity might come from here. It's a back touch and now an opening slot that ricochets out wide to the right. It will result in what will be a throw-in near the corner flag for Sporting Kansas City II. A couple of players involved there, looking for a better lane and to get around of what was that heavy fortress in front. Sporting Kansas City II controlling the possession here early going. We're in the 8th minute here in KC at Children's Mercy Victory Field. Drew Casey and the rest of our crew, appreciate you joining us. We have 1 shot so far. It's been on goal from Davis. But the possession again has been controlled quite considerably. Very small sample size though. See if we can get a look at those live percentages up to the minute. 57-43 feels more substantial than that, as SKC II moves in here across this right side. Here is Ryan Reed. Dropped off further, waiting for the cross to be chipped in, and it is, but right to the goalkeeper. It was Abe Rodriguez who covers and clears. And we'll start that process here in just a moment. Rodriguez named to the USL 20 under 20 team before coming over for Colorado Rapids 2 and MLS Next Pro now, of course. Speaking of USL, one of mainstays in the Rapids 2 lineup, at least recently, has been loaned out to Colorado Springs Switchbacks for the remainder of this 2022 season. That's Michael Edwards, first-team player. And we did see Edwards last appear in MLS Next Pro just last weekend against Whitecaps FC 2. Colorado trying to get on through, fighting through some contact off the left side, cross through goal mouth, and it will get wide. And see if it can be chased down in this far right corner by Connor Miller. It cannot. Acrobatic play moving in there. And let's see who it was last touched by. Clearly Colorado. But not dropping back just yet into a more defensive position. You can hear some of the instructions coming from the respective coaching sidelines. Eric Boucher, the head coach of Colorado Rapids 2. Benny Falhaber, the head coach of Sporting Kansas City 2. As once again we play on this Sunday evening, 3rd matchup between the teams, a draw and an SKC win. The shootout that took place following the season opening draw was won by Colorado. I should also remind you that Colorado Rapids 2, as we stated in the open, despite their standing in the league table, they are on a 7-match unbeaten streak if you include one contest within MLS Next Pro's Invitational, which they took on Wolves down in Salt Lake City and earned a point. But within just traditional regular season play, 6-match unbeaten streak for Colorado Rapids too. They'd look to keep it going here tonight. Scoreless in the 11th minute. Coverage tonight presented by Adidas, and we do thank you for joining us and wrapping up the Labor Day weekend. We get rolling just after 7 o'clock here locally, and we've got ourselves, as you can see on your screens, pretty nice night here for some MLS Next Pro action. Good combination off this left wing. There's Hanya with the step. Has Mayaka trying to feed him. Instead, it moves further towards the right wing. Now a further drop pass. Shot towards goal, and that's high. Great sequence, great motion for Colorado. The best chance for either team, with perhaps the exception of that free kick just outside the box. But that didn't result towards goal for Kansas City. Good chance there for Colorado. Going to find the twine early on. They get dangerous in those areas, as do many teams within MLS Next Pro. We have seen a flourish of goals throughout what has been this season. We are, after tonight, going to have 24 weeks out of the 26 regular season weeks in the books. Right back to the well for Colorado, this time off the right side. Sliding inside, and the deflection is high. Combination in the center, and Hanya is going to extend that jersey to his face, maybe the teeth as well, and now drops on back. Great opportunity, as it was nearly another. That was actually Sweat who had that opportunity, who did score last week. So 2 really good sequences for Colorado within the last 90 seconds of play on this 76-degree night. Humidity is above 50% as the ball has worked its way all the way back to the Colorado defensive end. So Kansas City controlled, say, the middle 5 to 7 minutes, from about the 3-minute mark to the 10-minute mark. And now leveling out a bit. Again, as the sample size gets bigger, of course, it'll tend to even out even more. Both of these teams towards the bottom in offensive output. 25 goals in what have been to this point 22 matches for Sporting Kansas City. That's the 3rd fewest goals in the league. Meanwhile, Colorado has scored 31 goals as a team. They've played just 21. One thing that Colorado does exceptionally well, despite that bottom half of the league number, 8 of their 31 goals have been scored from outside the box. And that's the 2nd most in all of MLS Next Pro. So they'll fire from really just about anywhere. We should also note that there is no Yaya Toure available today for Rapids 2, who is their leading scorer with 8 goals. On the injury report, out with a right knee injury. Whistle here, and it will break the way of visiting Colorado. His last appearance approaching a month ago now. It was in MLS on August the 13th. Colorado on the MLS side on the road at DC United last night. No players who were on that bench and perhaps played only a few minutes or did not get in are here in Kansas City, as the travel logistics would suggest. Sporting Kansas City was also on the road. They were in Los Angeles, but first team is back. There are a couple of players here available today that were on the bench yesterday. Cam Duke being one of those players. He is on the bench at the beginning of tonight's contest. So he'll stay with KC. Kaveh Rod, who's in the starting lineup, was also on the first team bench last night. He did not appear. Traveling back late yesterday following that game. Played to a 2-2 draw between the Galaxy and Sporting KC. A late 88th minute penalty from Los Angeles that leveled that game at 2 after KC took the lead in the 76th minute. Here with an MLS Next Pro looking to take an early lead. We've had a couple of chances on both ends. Also had a fair share of whistles as well. You mentioned Colorado Rapids taking on DC United. They also played to a draw. It was scoreless, 0-0. Last night in the nation's capital at Audi Field. Free kick here. They'll kick it out wide. Kansas City will. Controlled by Easley. His right-footed cross is in towards the area, and it skirts on through. Innocently enough for the defense. And we remain here scoreless. Take a look at the shot numbers. Shots are level at 2 apiece, 2-2. And the one shot on goal from Sporting Kansas City II. It's back in the first few minutes on the sprint off the right side from Ryan Reed. Stopped and held by Abe Rodriguez with no trouble. "26 points in the standings for SKC II entering tonight. 28 points for Rapids II entering tonight. They are in 9th and 8th, respectively, within the Western Conference. This one is through. A flag might come up here. It does not. It stays down. But there is too much on it, and it will be a goal kick. We mentioned those first-team results and lots of draws, of course, within MLS Next Pro. There are no draws, at least in the traditional sense. All 90-minute draws proceed to a shootout to determine a winner to pick up a second point in the league table. I mentioned that because Colorado, 3 of its last 4 matches have gone to that shootout and 4 of the last 6. Part of the long unbeaten streak for Rapids 2 to this point. With the goal, according to Eric Boucher, when he met with the media earlier in the week, of this Rapids 2 side to continue the trajectory that the team is on in that perspective and end the year with a positive taste in our mouths. And the way you do that is by continuing to gain results and take results. Little transitional opportunity with KC on the move. Slotted ahead and cleared away back to Rodriguez, who will cover it up. Bagayoko on the run on that far side. He, McKaylee, and Reed up front. Of course, first-team players sprinkled across each of these rosters. As we often see within MLS Next Pro, combination of MLS Next Pro professional players, academy players, as well as first-team players. And it all makes for quite the canvas on a week-by-week basis. There's plenty of unexpected players within the lineup each week. Makes it fun. Sometimes you find out an hour before kickoff there's a couple of players you weren't expecting. It's a little bit of a scramble from the broadcast perspective, but it keeps you on your toes. Prepare for 30, 35 players, expecting you'll get 20 of them, but sometimes you only get 18 or 19 just with the huge pool of players available within MLS Next Pro. It's really made for lots of excitement in year number 1, and only greater things on the horizon. Of course, the playoffs coming up soon. The top 8 teams will qualify. Spots being clinched across the East and West. Houston Dynamo Dos clinching this weekend in the West. Becoming the 3rd team in the Western Conference to clinch a spot, joining St. Louis and Tacoma. Columbus and Toronto have clinched in the Eastern Conference. Here's a chance. Developing off this left side wing. Shot towards goal, and it's just wide. Almost appeared to catch the outside of the post. But it did miss that mark. And misses wide to the far side right from Bagayoko. Here's some great sound here from the respective coaching staffs on quickly addressing what they've just noticed live on the field. Nagioka, we've called his name off the left side a considerable amount of times already. The 23-year-old going to make an immediate impact here tonight. We've had no cards to this point. A couple of shots. Nothing that you would qualify and quantify as an A+ chance to this point. Teams have settled in here after a bit of a frenetic start and have found their shapes and playing to their systems. Takeaway here in the midfield for Colorado. A strong challenge. Strongest challenge we've seen so far. And yellow card is actually going to come out here. And it will be a Sporting Kansas City 2 player. That's Colin Fernandez who picks up the yellow, coming here in the 21st. The 25-year-old from Downers Grove, Illinois, showing the yellow card for the 7th time this season. Of course, that results with the ensuing restart for Colorado, and they'll have it right on the edge of the attacking third. They use Mayaka. Sent outside to the far side left now. Looking to exit the zone is Kansas City. Ball intended for McKaylee. Taken back and controlled by Colorado after a quick takeaway. Mayaka has dropped all the way back here. See those bright, distinctive orange cleats of Mayaka. A couple of teammates also sporting those, including Aguirre, who just delivered that ball away. Very high hopes, lots of expectations. Versus the 17-year-old. Very young Colorado team. One of the youngest teams in the league, along with Real Monarchs in the West. Each club, parent club, full organization, a little bit of a different philosophy and little tweaks within the league, different styles, different types of players getting involved, and again, just another area of the game within MLS Next Pro that's been fun to follow and watch throughout. Hard to believe it's been almost 6 months. League kicked off back in late March. A champion will be crowned coming up in early October. Playoffs begin after the regular season ends on September the 18th. The ensuing 3 weeks. Final 8 teams, final 4, and then to the championship. It is organized with the top 4 teams in each league qualifying. An Eastern Conference and a Western Conference champion determined. And those two will be the two that meet for the championship here in year number 1 of MLS Next Pro. We mentioned a little bit earlier, only great things on the horizon. 7 new teams will enter for next season, bringing nearly all MLS parent clubs into MLS Next Pro with the team as well. Also, of course, you have Rochester NYFC, an independent team, the lone independent team within the league this year. This one sent on further for Sporting KC II off this right wing. Again, Ryan Reed, who dishes on back now towards center. Now reverse on the switch to the far side. Stadium lights are turned on. Not really turned into use just yet, or I should say not necessary, but you always want to start them with it on. As this one's deflected away, and it'll go out for a corner kick. Quiet first half to this point. 3 shots now officially for both teams. This will be the first corner for either side. So perhaps an opportunity for Kansas City to strike as they get set to deliver this one, with numbers pressing up towards the box. Still waiting on that right-footed corner. Low service and cleared away off the line immediately from the edge of that 6. Then it will flutter out over the far sideline. "25 minutes in. 3 shots apiece. Scoreless 0-0 between Sporting KC 2 and Colorado Rapids 2. Kansas City looking for its 9th win of the season. Colorado its 7th. Both hoping to achieve that. Do want to remind you that the next broadcast of the MLS Next Pro Game of the Week is coming up this Friday, September 9th. Remember, it's Monday already, Labor Day. Whitecaps FC 2 takes on Tacoma Defiance at Swangard Stadium in Burnaby, British Columbia. The action begins at 9 Central Time, 8 Mountain, coming up on Friday. Of course, you can catch the Game of the Week each week right here on MLSNextPro.com, and for that matter, each and every match of this MLS Next Pro season. It'll be a quick turnaround for Whitecaps FC 2. They will play tonight, coming up in about a half an hour. They are scheduled to begin play as they meet Earthquakes 2 in the only other match tonight. Everything else from the weekend in the books, and the next action is Friday. A couple of Western Conference late-night games. We'll run through all the scores from this weekend, take a look at the table, see how it's shaping up, coming up at halftime, in addition to, of course, reviewing the first half and previewing the second half. Not a whole lot to review from this first half, though, from what we've seen to this point. We had the one card just a few moments ago. Other than that, though, not too many grade A chances. Good defensive shape on both ends. Kansas City looking to change that here. Here's Jake Davis. Defended by Aguirre. Mayaka joining as well. Now it's kicked out wide side to the left. Back to Davis. Pass slightly off the mark. Slows the pace. Now Reed for KC. He'll pitch and catch off this right wing and look for an alley. And now reverse back to the center circle. And on back further, where it can be controlled by Cave Rod. Sends it across field. Rod, 21-year-old from Durham, North Carolina. He makes his 10th appearance, 9th start for SKC II here tonight. Played 90 minutes against San Jose. And again, he was on the first-team bench last night in Washington, D.C. Did not appear. Those 90 minutes against San Jose in MLS Next Pro last Sunday, 8 days ago. His last appearance of in-game action. Mikey Lennis dropping back. First time we've called his name here this evening. As the ball on the switch to the far side left. Just one match after tonight remaining for Sporting Kansas City 2. They are off next week before heading on the road to St. Louis City 2 on Sunday, September 18th. Good control of shape and possession maintaining. Left-footed service towards the center, headed back out. And a secondary header clears the area immediately, and this one rejects, and it's in for a goal! Sporting Kansas City 2 sticks with it, and Jake Davis has scored here in the 29th minute. Little pinball action in long range. KC on top. So how about that? We've been chronicling just about how quiet it's been. And a fortunate bounce, and Sporting Kansas City 2 makes no mistake. Here in the 29th minute, Jake Davis buries his second goal of the season and scoring for the first time in more than 3 months. His last goal was back on another holiday weekend, Memorial Day weekend, in late May. So that'll get things rolling for SKC 2. We'll wait and see if there's an assist, but that ball sputtering around. There could be one. I'm going to say most likely unassisted, but again, we'll wait for the official word as we'll hear the official announcement here. Jake Davis, the goal scorer, and that's it. No assist on the play. Of course, it can always be added later. It's once again now 1-0. SKC 2 the lead. Jake Davis striking just moments ago on a ball sent out of the box and pinballing back and forth amidst heads, and Davis from long distance buries that one. Taking a page out of the Colorado book. Colorado known for scoring from outside the box. For Sporting Kansas City 2, if that officially goes down as outside the box, that's just the third time that that's happened. Looking for more, shot towards goal. Rodriguez, a big stop. Kept it out and kept it 1-0 as Bagayoko tried to make it 2-zip. SKC II is buzzing here at home, looking to capitalize and double the advantage. They can smell blood in the water. Colorado looking to settle for Ryan Reed on this right wing. Headed, though, in a nice on-ball play by Steve Flores, starting left back for Colorado. Slotted in by Rod. Now along the near side right for Lennis, making a right side push. And chip back, heady play from Colorado. And last touch by SKC II, at least so it seems. However, they will stay with possession here. Rapids 2 went right back, however. Ball must have went over that end line prior to making contact with Kansas City. Again, for Davis, his second goal of the season, coming in the 29th minute here tonight. His first goal against Vancouver on May 29th. Whitecaps FC 2, he found the back of the net. Playing in his 12th game within MLS Next Pro. Strong challenge here, breaking the way of the defense. It'll be a restart for SKC 2 and a tough collision. And it looks like Hanya is a little bit slow to get back to his feet here after he ran into a wall. See if the training staff is going to come out. Looks like all is good. And play will restart. So Hanya back to his feet. And since it was implemented, going on almost 2 months to the day, that doesn't necessarily get talked about. It only happens in very distinct sequences. And if you are aware, you really only realize it there. It is the off-field treatment rule. In a situation like that, a player, if the training staff was called for by the player and the referee there was no suspected head injury, there was no blood, there was no card on the foul, other exceptions too, that player would have to leave for 3 minutes. And even in the first half, in just the 33rd minute like we are here, that is a disadvantage. Or a substitution might be made. It's really changed the pace in the gameplay and the sequencing of just how much action you get. So it's been interesting to see that. I'm curious to see what that step might take. Seems like it will be in effect for the playoffs and beyond, but we'll wait and see. Other rule change that MLS Next Pro instituted in the middle of the season, right after July 4th, was regarding red card suspensions. Instead of occurring in the next match, the red card suspension would occur if the schedule has you playing that same opponent again in the regular season. Has not come into effect very much at all, just based on scheduling matrix and the midseason implementation, but that'll be interesting to see in future seasons, especially in division matchups like this one. This is the third meeting of these two teams, so if someone were to have been shown a red card in the matchup back in July, and this was on the schedule, which it is, regular season, they would then serve that suspension tonight and not the next week, July 17th or 16th, or if there's a bye, 2 weeks. So it will be interesting to see. Those are the two major changes mid-season, and perhaps they can make the jump to MLS in some form. Colorado looking to equalize here. Ball loose, and they should have a corner out of this, and they will. This is corner number 1 for Colorado. Davis in the 29th minute, the goal scorer. Able to bury one on in and get Sporting Kansas City on the board here at home. Visitors now readying for a corner kick. Will come from the far flag. Three shots for Colorado to this point. Left-footed service from Aguirre is in and headed high. You hear the words of encouragement from the Colorado bench. And now, however, there's a Colorado player down. The one who knocked that with the head here, and play is going to be stopped. Whistle just blown to now the goalkeeper not to restart play, allow the player back to his feet. And again, this likely a scenario where you would have seen a training staff come out without this off-field treatment rule in effect. Giving the thumbs up to the sideline. And now dropping back down, and it looks like not be able to continue, at least for the moment. Trying to get a look at precisely who that is for Colorado. Share that information when we have it. Went up for the header, came down a bit awkwardly. That allowed the players to hydrate here. This is really our first stoppage that we've had in this first half. Approaching halftime, coming up at the break. We'll recap the first half, set the scene for the second. Look around the scoreboard. By the time we get to that, they may have kicked off between San Jose and Whitecaps FC2, scheduled to begin at 9 Eastern, which for us, of course, is 8 Central. We are at 7:45 at the moment, give or take. Been meaning to update my watch. Let's take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard here briefly from earlier this weekend. So just the 2 games today. Kansas City, Colorado, we have that here. This appears to perhaps be a somewhat significant injury. Goalkeeper for Colorado, Abe Rodriguez, has come in to take a look at his teammate that is down here. So matchups from yesterday. There was nothing earlier today this afternoon, but yesterday there was a solo contest. Rochester NYFC knocked off Philadelphia Union 2 by a score of 2-1. And it is Gomez, who we thought it was, who was the player here that is being helped off to the sideline. And we'll see if they go ahead and make a change. And it does seem as if they are going to. Both teams are huddled near their benches. Looks like the substitution slip is being handed to the 4th official for the injured Gomez. Change is going to come here in the 39th minute. And it's going to be Josh Harden to enter here in the 39th.
Substitution for Colorado in the 39th minute, moving the game, number 42, Omar Gomez. He's replaced by number 85, Josh Harden.
So expecting to see Josh Harden perhaps take that right back spot. There might be some shifting and shuffling. Bring that to you as we notice the shape change, if it does. So again, we mentioned Rochester knocking off Philadelphia 2-1 in the East yesterday. And the big result in the Western Conference on Saturday was Houston over St. Louis 1-0. A lot of implications there within the West and within the total league standings. And once again, we'll have the full results from the weekend coming up at halftime. Also have the full lineups for you if you want them. Happy to share those with you at halftime, even though we've been playing for 40 minutes and shared them with you at the open. One lineup change, Josh Harden here just moments ago. Our first sub due to the injury to Gomez, who is slowly working his way with a member of the training staff back towards the bench area. He left the field to the high side, and he's currently approaching the goal, and he'll, of course, skirt behind it if there is enough space there, which it does appear there is. So we are back to live action. We'll see a little bit of stoppage time here in this first half, more than you'll traditionally see, probably at least 2 minutes. Frankly, probably closer to 3 or 4, as Danny Garcia sent that one up ahead. And the ball jarred loose. Sporting Kansas City already with 1 goal in this one. It came back in the 29th minute. And perhaps looking for a little bit more. This one fed through for Josh Coan. Coan continuing the run, looking for space. Shot blocked, stopped, second opportunity, and that's in! He went down as he fired the second one, and it ricocheted on through Rodriguez, and it's 2-0, Sporting Kansas City 2.
Sporting Kansas City goal, scored by Josh Coan.
So just as we were saying, Sporting Kansas City 2, perhaps an opportunity with the change in the back line for Colorado. And they make no mistake, speed off the right side wing and slot it on in. Not on the first chance, but on the second for Josh Coan. He gets his second goal of the season, just like his compatriot Jake Davis had his second earlier. Coan's other goal was pretty recently against Portland. Timbers 2 back on August 14th, so 3 weeks ago. And Coan, the Indianapolis native, gets the goal here. Goal announced over the public address system here. We're at Children's Mercy Victory Field. And the home team poised for victory tonight. Colorado looking to cut the deficit in half. This cross intended for Mayaka, but it's a bit behind him and cleared out of immediate danger to Bageko. Further up the left wing for Sporting KC2. Coan just moments ago, if you stepped aside during the injury stoppage, that immediately preceded it. Another opportunity for Sporting Kansas City, too, and Rodriguez being peppered here. Able to stop that one. Not much he could really do on the first two. He had the ball pinballing back and forth and around him. And with some ricochets and deflections, tough for a goalkeeper in a situation to come up with many of those. The shots propelling close to double digits now for the hosts. And that's a bit rare for a Sporting Kansas City team that has the fewest shots in the league. This one through, and the cross is held by Carlitos Ceylon, who's been really quiet in the KC cage. 16-year-old covering that. Shots now at 6-4 in favor of Sporting Kansas City 2. Here's Ryan Reed with the step ahead. Already a 2-goal lead in this first half. Approaching the break. Can SKC make it 3? Controlling the possession. This ball through off the far side. Loose ball, and that one's chipped in. It's an own goal. Danny Garcia tried to clear, but it was off his right shin and in. And it's 3-0, Sporting Kansas City 2. Getting away from the visitors here. Seizing control are the hosts. So the 3 goals, Jake Davis in the 29th, Josh Coan in the 39th, and here, what should go down in the 44th, the own goal.
Scored in the 44th minute by number 90,
Guy McKaylee is announced as the goal scorer. We'll see precisely how it's handled. From our vantage point, it appeared as if it was chipped in by Garcia. Then the reaction, too. But we'll check at the break and see exactly how it is ruled. 3 minutes of additional time here in the first half. 3 minutes after we had the injury stoppage in which Omar Gomez was then subbed off for. He went up for an aerial ball on a surface inside the box. Speaking of which, we're going to have a stoppage here in the training staff coming out to take a look. Gomez came down awkwardly, tried to continue play, but then went down at midfield, and his day was done shortly thereafter. Training staff here looking at Connor Miller. Might be a situation where there is blood of some kind. And that looks like what it is here, maybe in the nose area. So they'll get that worked on. This will add on to our stoppage time here, with what is already a 3-0 score line. Colorado trailing. Fourth officials now making the symbol that it is a suspected head injury for evaluation, not a blood situation. Regardless, that does not have the 3 minutes off the field necessary. Sporting Kansas City back to live action here. Off this left side, and Ryan Reed fed ahead and cleared away by Colorado. Rapids 2 looking to regroup coming up at the half. Sporting Kansas City 2 hope to be enjoying 3-0 advantage. Keep it that way here. Reverse to the far side by SKC. Now controlled as we continue with our stoppage time. In this first half, we saw 3 minutes come up from our fourth referee, but we did have an additional injury stoppage for approximately 1 additional minute. So we've got at least 3, probably closer to 4. Of course, all at the discretion of our referee, Anya Voigt. Coming up at halftime, again, a recap of the first half, and suddenly plenty of action. The first part of this 45 minutes was really quiet. Not the case since. Here's Mikey Lennis. We'll go around the rest of MLS Next Pro and look ahead to the second half here on MLS Next Pro. Good run here for Ryan Reed. He gets the ball. This is Reed. Step through. That results in a pass. Retreating. Now here's Davis, who scored the first goal of tonight's game. Give and go. Now dishes outside to the wide. KC, a team that likes to use that wide space. The goals have been a little more direct today, though. Some fortunate bounces that they've made no mistake straight on with. They have varied their style the last few weeks, and watch the tape, you noticed that also, that according to Rapids 2 head coach Eric Boucher as well. Touched by Colorado's Danny Garcia. And away we go with the second half of play here tonight on MLSNextPro.com. Appreciate you very much for being with us, Drew Casey and the rest of our crew, where it is Kansas City playing in its final home match of the season and enjoying that 3-0 advantage. Kansas City in the blue-based uniforms attacking right to left here in the second. All their goals on the far side right as the sun has now completed its setting, and those stadium lights fully necessary at this point. Colorado looking to build from the first half, maybe even forget about the first half. And they will attack left to right. They're in the light green tops, darker green shorts, and the light green socks, and a couple of players with those bright orange cleats. Notably Mayaka, who is chasing here, so involved too is Aguirre, who now he sends it back on further, back centrally for Blake Malone. This one sent back to Rodriguez, the goalkeeper for Colorado, and he sends it aside. Just one change was made in the first half. It was due to injury. Omar Gomez came off. That was in the 39th minute. And after he left, 2 goals were scored. So the game changed very, very quickly. Josh Harden came in for him. Gomez started tonight at right back. Dropped on back looking for Mayaka to keep the rush going, but instead it's cleared up, but only as far as center by Kansas City. Chasing 3 as Blake Malone sends this further. Moving through centrally. Good chip out wide to the far side right. Cross is in. However, more of a shot towards goal that was. From this right side wing for Colorado. First time in the second half, we hear from Dauda Amadou. Amadou firing that shot there. 19-year-old, born in Cameroon, appearing in his 13th game of the year. That shot he just fired was his 8th of this season. Does have 2 assists to his ledger earlier in the year. On the chase here, trying to win it back for his side, making the trip here to Children's Mercy Victory Fields at Swope Soccer Village. These two teams looking to finish the season strong. They do know that their seasons will come to a close following Decision Day on September the 18th. Teams have had some injuries. This one sent for Rodriguez, who can control and stop off the far side left. So Rodriguez has faced, as they would say in hockey, lots of rubber. He's faced lots of soccer balls here in this one, as Kansas City, within that first half, fired 8 shots and 6 of them were on goal. Another one just right there. Mayaka trying to step on through for Colorado in the transitional area. As Aguirre, those two working together. Now Amadou. Colorado bench, you may have heard, keep it going. Josh Harden slotted that one on through. He's going to make a right side run and try and sneak behind the defense. As the ball has swapped to the far side high and left. When asked earlier in the week about one of the main reasons why Colorado's been successful over what's a 7-match unbeaten streak, if you include a win within the MLS Next Pro Invitational in late July, head coach Eric Boucher said maintaining possession. This ball is loose. Onside play. Colorado looking to move through and break the clean sheet. Now the flag comes up. And it is offside. Maintaining possession was the big thing, which coach mentioned in his time with the media earlier in the week. Focus on sustaining pressure and facing forward. But they were on their heels a bit in that first half, especially within the final 15 to 20 minutes when all 3 of the goals were scored. In the 29th minute on, 29, 41, and 44, when the 3 strikes found the back of the net for Sporting Kansas City after it was very even up until that point. Have not been able to clear cleanly defensively. Almost all of the goals have resulted in a deflection, not intended necessarily. Cross back in and headed off from the top of the 18 as Sporting Kansas City II tries to push from left to right. These two teams started the season against each other, beginning MLS Next Pro play on Sunday, March 27th, which was a 1-1 draw and then a 4-2 shootout win for Colorado. After that, though, Kansas City did pick up an impressive 2-0 win on the road at Minnesota. And things got tough. They dropped 4 in a row. Colorado trying to move through here. Little contact. Ball jarred loose. And sent out of the immediate danger area by Easley. That 4-game losing streak spanned essentially all of April. On goal, bobble! And to the left to clean it up is the goalkeeper for Kansas City, Ceylon. Getting the start. He was not originally in the starting lineup when we first received it. But just prior to kickoff, Ceylon in there, the 16-year-old, making just his second MLS Next Pro start. And he's been clean through the first 52 minutes. Continuing the trends of the season for Sporting Kansas City, we mentioned a draw and a win to start the year. 4 straight losses, but then 3 straight wins. And then back and forth they went through the middle of June. And in the middle of July, that's when things really turned. Since July 10th, Sporting Kansas City II is 1-6. Lost 4 in a row, including 3 consecutive 3-0 losses before beating Timbers 2 on August the 14th. And they've dropped the last 2, 1-0 and 4-1 a week ago to Earthquakes 2. Western Conference, especially the Frontier Division, just loaded. It looks like, and it might be officially lined up this way after tonight's results elsewhere, 3 teams from the Frontier Division will make the Western Conference postseason. Kansas City is in here, already up by 3, looking for more. Gold range and another! Sporting Kansas City II makes it 4-0. Bakari Bagayoko scores this one, and all control belongs to the hosts. For Bagayoko, that's his 3rd goal of the season, and he's now scored in 3 consecutive games. His last 2, August 14th and the 28th, he did not play in between, and he's here again tonight, and he strikes again for Sporting Kansas City II. And a look of a bit of dejection amongst the Rapids 2 players. It's been a tough one, short-handed, and Kansas City has now scored 4 times. And it looks like a warm-up is coming off for a member of SKC II. It looks like Julian Vasquez is getting set to perhaps check in soon. This through ball there, looking ahead, Colorado that is, for Amadou. Top of the box, right-footed shot is blocked. And ricochets back to the far side right for KC, who can clear. So it's been 4 different goal scorers, Davis and Coan, for SKC, the first 2. Then an own goal, and just moments ago, Bakari Bagayoko scoring for Sporting Kansas City II as well. Takeaway here, this is Bagayoko. He scored just moments ago. Has a runner to his left. SKC II again looking for more. Now instead drop it on back. And slow the pace a little bit. It's been those transition opportunities that have been what has been the key. Off the right side now. Loose top of the box. Through traffic. Left side towards goal. Rodriguez punches that one away. The ball gets into the box for Kansas City. And there's a touch and a deflection. And seemingly on each possession, it's found its way perfectly to a striking KC member. And that time it nearly resulted in another goal. This is going to be a corner for Sporting Kansas City. But we wait for an injured Colorado Rapids 2. Ties the shoe.
Substitution for Sporting in the 56th minute. Leading the game, number 90, Guy McKaylee.
This will also allow the change to happen for Sporting Kansas City 2. So for Sporting, McKaylee exits. And it is Julian Vasquez who's going to come on.
He's replaced by number 30, Julian Vasquez.
4 goals for Vasquez, 21-year-old. Originally from Nibley, Utah. He did score in the last matchup between these two teams on July 10th. The last time that he has found the back of the net against any opponent, in fact. And he's on here as a second-half stub here in the 56th minute. A quartet of goals for Kansas City. Off the right side wing, service is in towards that back post. Another opportunity, and this one ends on the outside of the cage. Caught the near side and then ricocheted behind. Almost had the effect of looking like it went in, but it went around, so not a fifth there. Good opportunity. Kansas City keeping the pressure on. Shots now at 9-6, but 7-1 in favor of SKC on goal. whistle. Haven't had many of them here in this second half. There is one here for a foul against Sporting. Amadou, the one who suffers the foul. Bagayoko coming over to take a look at Amadou, and Amadou rolling over here and stretching it out. Referee Anya Voigt is going to come on over to the area. Rapids 2 will close the schedule with the matchup with Houston Dynamo 2 coming up at 6 o'clock Mountain Time on Sunday. This following Sunday coming up, September 11th. And on September 18th, to close the year against the Real Monarchs. That's scheduled for a 5 o'clock Mountain Time start. All matchups in the Eastern Conference will begin at 3 Eastern Time on Decision Day within the West. They'll take place a little bit later at 7 Eastern, 6 Central, 5 Mountain, 4 Pacific. Nobody in the Eastern Time Zone in the Western Conference. So Amadou is going to be helped off here. See if Colorado makes a sub. It does not appear that they are going to, at least immediately. Play continues and dropped off here with Aguirre sliding on further. We mentioned Rapids, too, how their season will end. Sporting Kansas City off next weekend, and the way this result is going, I think they would want to play next weekend and keep this momentum going. We're in the 59th minute here, trying to get on through. Whistle foul, and it is against Sporting, so it will be a free kick opportunity for the Rapids. They will close the year also on September the 18th at St. Louis City 2 and will open a brand new stadium that will house St. Louis City, perhaps St. Louis City 2 next year. But that should be a very exciting contest. St. Louis will also perhaps have an opportunity for at least the number 1 seed in the West. They may secure it next week, depending on results. But that game will mean something, and it should be a unbelievable atmosphere. That's in 2 weeks, though. Service is in from Aguirre. Headed up by KC, and now cleared out of the zone. It has been all Sporting in this one tonight. 3 first-half goals and 1 here in the second. Davis, Coan, an own goal, and Bagayoko all finding the back of the net for Kansas City. Rodriguez here dangerously had to get this one out of the territory. And Colorado on their heels a bit. Short-handed. Only 5 on the bench tonight. One of those, of course, the backup goalkeeper. Michael Harris is on the bench, but he was also on this week's injury report, so unlikely that we would see him. It is a banged and bruised team this late in the season. Yaya Toure out tonight with a right knee injury. He has not played since August 13th. Can they find a way to get on the score sheet, make things interesting? They can score, and in a hurry. Seemingly each team in this league can. The step through along the right side, and the cross is controlled and held onto by Ceylon. Mentioned he earned the start, his second start of this season. Just 16 years old is Carlito Ceylon. Has not been tested too much, but he's been solid when the ball has come his direction. Rodriguez on the Colorado side, he's been tested a lot and he's made some solid saves. Some unfortunate breaks, but it is 4-0 Kansas City in control here. Looking for more opportunities. Sent out wide side left, now chipped on back into more of an attacking position. Dropped off by Ryan Reed. Now this is Natty Clark. Clark through the box. Good look. that it skied high over everything and leaves the immediate facility in the distance there over that Sporting Kansas City II backdrop. More on Ceylon, the Sporting Kansas City goalkeeper here tonight. Ball approaches him, and he will get a touch in that bright pink goalkeeper kit. 16 years old, from Brighton, Michigan, born and raised there. Joined the academy with Sporting in 2020, early in the year, competing with the U15, U17 academy teams. And he's very skilled in saving PKs. He's actually saved 4 in a Sporting uniform already. He's on the preseason roster for SKC II. And he trained with the club in February and March in the lead up to the season. Plenty of academy experience this past year. Now, with those seasons in the books, getting some experience here tonight at home. Final home matchup of this regular season for Sporting. Again, they hit the road in 2 weeks to go to St. Louis, so that's not necessarily a huge trip. In-state trip, in fact, in Missouri, of course. Still precious minutes here in the player development piece, even though it is 4-0, things that both sides, and probably more specifically Colorado, looking to achieve here and accomplish. See if we see a couple of more changes. We've seen a couple already. The one for Colorado in the first half due to injury. It's in the 39th minute. Josh Harden came on for Omar Gomez. Race along this right side in the 65th minute now. Slotted on through and cleared away. Do want to mention that our coverage tonight is presented by Adidas. Appreciate their partnership, and we appreciate you for joining us here on Labor Day. Not just Labor Day weekend anymore, Labor Day itself. Not the best news for Rapids 2 faithful as it appears. Omar Gomez has just returned to the bench with crutches in hand. He did leave a little bit earlier tonight. Again, back in the 39th minute when he came down funny, it seemed, on a fight for a service towards the top of the box. Went down initially, tried to continue, but then he could not. Just adding to the list of what have been a number of late season injuries for Colorado. Dylan Cerna's been out for a while. Jackson Travis, Sebastian Anderson. We mentioned no Yaya Torre. Michael Harris is on the bench, but he's a little bit banged up as well. Kansas City is going to make a change here. Colin Fernandez is going to exit. Edgar Bazan is going to come in. The 16-year-old from Overland Park, Kansas. Not too far. Plenty of youth on this roster tonight for SKC II. Right now on the field, with Bazan coming on, there are 3 16-year-olds and 4 16-year-olds that participated. McKaylee has already been subbed off. But now 3 at the same time, with Reed, Bazan, and Ceylon, the goalkeeper, all 16 years old, and birthday's not really approaching anytime soon. Reed is the next one. He'll turn 17 first, but not till January 26th. Get to see a little bit of everything within MLS Next Pro. Young professionals, academy players, true professionals within the MLS Next Pro contractual rights. And, of course, with the first team in MLS, can see some disparities. Remember, there was a game a couple of weeks ago where there was a 14-year-old, Real Monarchs, Axel Kai, one of the youngest players in the league. Hard to say the youngest when there are so many players academy-wise available each week. But against a couple of players actually making their return from an injury with an MLS, gets some minutes before returning fully from that injury. And making for about a 20-year age gap. SKC already up by 4. 1 goal in this second half. Can they make it 2.5 and 5 for the day? Good sequence here. This one's loose towards the back post, and it's in! Flag is down. It's 5-0 Kansas City. And it's another goal, the second of the half for Bakari Bagayoko.
Sporting Kansas City goal. Scored by number 66, Bakari Bagayoko.
So it's been open
from number 30, Julian Vasquez.
For a majority of this one since the 29th minute. And SKC Sporting, they have not left anything to chance. There will be an assist on this one. Vasquez, who fed that ball through. And we're going to have a lopsided result here tonight at Children's Mercy Victory Field. For Vasquez, that'll be his 4th assist of the season. Bagayoko, his 2nd goal tonight and 4th goal of this 2022 campaign. I'd like to squeeze the highlight recaps into 2 minutes. Going to be tough to make this one just 2 minutes with all the goals that we've seen here tonight. Also seen a fair share of pretty high-level saves as well, mostly on the Colorado side. As a lot of the time, the shot totals don't necessarily tell the story. It's 14-7 Sporting at the moment, but the quality of chances, shots on goal reflects that. It's 9-1 Sporting in this one. Here is Mayaka for Colorado. Slotted inside. A 21-year-old who's had a really nice season for Rapids 2. Making his 16th appearance, 15th start with Rapids 2. Does have 2 goals. Back in 2019, he was the Atlantic Coast Conference, that's ACC, within collegiate soccer, Freshman of the Year. He played his college soccer again with the Clemson Tigers. Now with Colorado Rapids 2. Looking to find a way to get on the board here. Long range, and there is the aforementioned Mayaka. High over that right side bar. A couple of players milling around near the Colorado bench. Perhaps we'll see some changes as we approach the 70th minute. Should say 71st now. Very few stoppages that we've had in the second half. 2 goals added to the total in the second for Sporting, both from Bagayoko. Nearly had a ball there, looking for the hat trick. Doubling his goal total, and now he scored all 4 goals for this Sporting team in his last 3 games. So coming on towards the end of this season, progressing, is the 23-year-old from the Bronx, New York. And he has been a fixture in the lineup for a good stretch. This is his 13th appearance and 9th start here tonight. We now see 2 players gathering near the substitution area for Colorado. Rapids 2. This is Mayaka. Dropping on back. Had himself a cutter, but couldn't feed it all the way through. Left side run. Taken down on the run. And the ball can be cleared away by Sporting Kansas City 2. Like Miller was bobbing and weaving with that action as it works its way out. And those changes will now be allowed to occur here in the 72nd minute.
Number 57, Maxie Sweat, who's replaced by number 87, Keith Chavarria.
Keith Chavarria is coming on for Rapids 2.
Substitution for Colorado in the 72nd minute.
And he will come on and replace Baklovio Sweat.
He's replaced by number 8.
And the additional change is Jack Sullivan coming on here in the 72nd. And he will come on and get Dauda Amadou, who was banged and bruised a little bit himself. And now Colorado, yes, they have 2 more changes left to make, but they just have the backup goalkeeper and Michael Harris, who is listed on today's injury report. So curious if he is going to make an appearance. One would say probably not. So they are just about out of subs to use at their disposal here. 73rd minute, it is 5-0. Sporting Kansas City 2. They have certainly controlled the play. You can surmise that from the scoreline. Josh Coan drops this one back for Natty Clark. Coan, one of the goals. Way back in the first half, in the 41st minute, right before the break, made it 2-0. This was a 1-0 game through the first 40 minutes. And it was scoreless through nearly the first 30. And it was very quiet for that first stretch until the first goal was scored, and snowballed from there positively for the hosts, and of course not as positive for Colorado. This will be a corner for Sporting. There haven't been too many of those here tonight. This will be the 3rd that they'll take. So they're outshooting Colorado 14-8, 9-1 on goal. In fantastic shape to pick up what would be the 9th win of the season. Raise the point total to 29. Crosses through to the back post, and they were looking for Bagayoko again. It would have been a hat trick. Sent out, though. Marked nicely defensively. A bit of a challenge there, Mayaka. And it is a throw-in for Colorado as a result. Hanya fighting along the near touchline, a whistle. And the ball comes through. And now a yellow card has come out against Mayaka here. Perhaps for the challenge there, right as the whistle sounded, or perhaps for a different reason. Regardless, Mayaka shown the yellow here in the 75th minute. For Mayaka, that is the 10th yellow card that has been shown to him this year within MLS Next Pro competition. The suspension increments start at 5 and then increase by 3. There is possibility for forgiveness of a yellow card for suspension purposes if you go 5 matches without a yellow. And for Mayaka, that is his 10th yellow. That's near the most in the league. '76th minute between these two tonight. And the hay is essentially in the barn very early. Colorado looking for some confidence heading into what will be next week and closing out the year with 2 matches remaining. Service sent in by Josh Harden, and it will result in a throw, and it'll stay with Rapids 2. Back for Blake Malone, 21-year-old from Omaha, Nebraska. Picked up his first assist of the season last week against Whitecaps FC2. He has it back here from Aguirre, who's dropped back a little bit in the shape, trying to feed ahead for Mayaka. He's fended off. Thought perhaps that he had won a foul, but no whistle coming. Bagayoko with 2 goals drops it off, now trying to get it back, and he does. He in turn drops it further back for Vasquez, who had the assist on goal number 5. Just a little while ago, his 4th of the season. Vasquez coming on as a substitute here in the second half, back in the 56th minute, so he's played about the last 20. Strong challenge here, getting a little more physical. Ball sent ahead. Stepped into and stepping across to clear. Was Rod there. Ave Rond, 9th start. 21-year-old defender from Durham, North Carolina originally. Again, he was on the first-team bench last night in Sporting's 0-0 draw at DC United. Looks like he might be in shape to take the full 90 here in this MLS Next Pro contest on this Labor Day Monday night. One of two matches. San Jose and Whitecaps FC 2, they are underway late in the first half. It is 1-0 Earthquakes 2. Rapids 2, to find a way to strike here. Shot blocked. Here's some of the sideline conversations. Colorado looking to find a way to break the clean sheet for SKC. Sporting does have 4 team clean sheets this year. Colorado will remain this way, 0 clean sheets, something that they're working towards. Team that really wants to be stubborn on defense. Hear that a lot from Eric Boucher, who joined the Rapids organization in April of 2017, before Rapids 2, the head coach of the U17 team. And well over a quarter century of coaching experience. Tough night, though, for his bunch. Down 5-0 here in the 79th minute. And our referee, Anya Voigt, is going to step towards the end line here and reorganize. And the whistle sounds again. And that whistle is blown in such close proximity. You'll hear it. No cards come out as a result of that organization. And now here comes the Colorado corner from the far side. Out swings and headed away by the 2-goal scorer in this second half. Bagayoko results in a throw in the far side. We are well past nightfall at this point. Started in the bright sun. Even had some shadows during warm-ups in the opening minutes. But of course, the sun sets a lot earlier as, well, I hate to be a pessimist, but as summer unofficially ends, really right about now. Nightfall on Labor Day is the unofficial end, so the day is nearly done. Hope it was a great summer. Still technically have 16 days or so until the solstice, and it becomes fall. Davis, Coan, an own goal. Bagayoko times 2 for a total of 5 for Sporting Kansas City 2 here this evening. Just a thorough effort here at home, perhaps one of the best that we've seen. We remind you that following the conclusion of tonight's match, please do stay with us. We will take a brief timeout. We'll come on back and wrap up the night and choose our player of the match, which is presented by Adidas each and every match across this MLS Next Pro season. This is match number 232 within the 2022 inaugural season. That number is going to grow by quite a bit with 7 new teams next year. The number of games stays the same, 24. That's already over 300 at least. If the games grow, the total number would grow even more. Exciting news that was announced, let's see, about a month and a half ago now. It was mid-July. With what was a hint at new teams coming, and it was officially official, actually in early August, August 4th. The news was released that 7 new teams would come across MLS Next Pro for the 2023 season, raising from 21 clubs to 28, with MLS-affiliated clubs being those 7 new ones. So MLS Next Pro teams for the following: Atlanta United, Austin FC, Charlotte FC, both LA Galaxy and Los Angeles FC, Nashville, and the New York Red Bulls. Everything to be announced. Further details, again, this season it was 24 matches, 12 home, 12 away, across 26 weeks with 8 playoff teams. So there will likely be some adjustments, at the very least with the matrix and perhaps days of the week. It all comes down to venues and scheduling and things of that nature. Expected to see some expansion too in terms of some different markets perhaps involved as well, especially in non-major metropolitan areas. See how that might look. So very exciting times. And the playoffs coming up. More information will be released soon. First playoff weekend will be the weekend of Friday, the 23rd of September through Sunday, the 25th. Stay tuned to MLSNextPro.com for all that information. Expecting that to be released prior to next weekend, at least a bit of a framework. Also, for any playoff scenarios, elimination scenarios, MLS Next Pro has you covered down to every possible situation you could think of. And those will be updated following this week as well. This one through, almost another one for Kansas City. There is Rodriguez to keep it out and keep it at 5. So 5 goals conceded. Also 5 saves now for Rodriguez, as 10 of the 15 shots for Kansas City have been on goal. And with the exception of 1 or 2, they've all been really, really good looks. Shouldn't be too much stoppage time in terms of what we've seen so far. There haven't been really many stoppages in this second half as we roll towards the 85th minute tonight. Also want to remind you that the next broadcast of the MLS Next Pro Game of the Week is this Friday, September 9th. Whitecaps FC 2 takes on Tacoma Defiance. That's at Swangard Stadium, north of the border, just outside Vancouver in Burnaby, British Columbia. Colorado is through here. Good spacing off this right wing. Shot towards goal mouth, and it's deflected, and it's in, but it won't count. Offside flag is up for the first time today on this end. It's been that kind of night for Colorado. Down 5-0 and offside disallows what could have been the first tally and a clean sheet buster. That MLS Next Pro Game of the Week on Friday, by the way. Whitecaps and Tacoma Defiance. 10 Eastern start coming up on Friday right here on MLSNextPro.com. Of course, you can catch the Game of the Week at each and every match across the league on MLSNextPro.com. Appreciate you staying with us. Drew Casey, the rest of our crew, on what's been a nice night for some soccer. Sporting has enjoyed it much, much more, though, to this point. When we began things just after 7 o'clock here, we're getting close to 9. It was 76 degrees. The temperature has dropped a couple of degrees down to 72 degrees here. Humidity has bumped up considerably, though, from 60% now to 75%. Couple of nice days coming up. Temperatures in the mid-80s. It's going to get hot in the middle of the week. Temperatures will push into the 90s here in the area. Air conditioning still necessary, even though, as we chronicled and soliloquied a little while ago, a somber end of summer for some, perhaps, with this Labor Day weekend. Put the white pants away. Never understood that, but I'm told that that is culturally aware. Get a little bit of everything in a 5-0 game here in the 87th minute. Nice on-ball play here. Trying to get through. Rapids 2 looking to break that clean sheet towards goal. And it's stopped and held. So Ceylon not tested very much. But he's been strong, and that one of the better chances for Colorado getting towards Cage. was Jack Sullivan there, firing towards goal. 17-year-old from Denver, who's now 8 appearances off the bench, leads the team. Rolling into the 88th minute, offside flag is up now on this end. And guilty is Bagayoko. 2 goals for him here in the second, pushing a 3-0 halftime lead to, as it stands now, 5-0. So suffice to say, this result looks like it will hold. And with that, the third and final meeting of the series this season, of course. And it will end 2-0-1 in favor of Sporting. 2 regulation wins, 2-0 and currently 5-0. There's a Sporting player down at midfield here, right behind our referee, who has now noticed and sounds the whistle. The ball was on its way out anyway from the Sporting back line. So the season series, again, will end 2 wins for Sporting, 2-0, and what this finishes as when it goes into the books. And then the draw back in March, it was Colorado who picked up the shootout win. So 7 of a possible 9 points earned in the season series for Sporting. 2 teams will head back to their respective bench areas. This time will, of course, be added for stoppage time now. First real stoppage we've had. Kave Rod is down here. Do you want to see first-team player who was on the bench last night? Now down here in the 89th. We roll to the 90th. Looks like he's going to come off. At least there is Jahan Rod. He's getting set to check in. So they'll go bro for bro.
Substitution for Sporting Kansas City in the 90th minute. Leading the game, number 48, Kave Rod.
So Kave Rod is going to leave. He's gotten back to his feet. And again, hasn't been announced yet, but Jahan hanging out right near that midway line. When he comes on here, a rare non-start for Jahan. Entering tonight, 19 appearances, 18 starts, close to 1,600 minutes. He last played 45 minutes against San Jose last weekend. A red 2 pops up on the board from our 4th official. 2 minutes of stoppage time here in the second half. Once again, do stay with us following the conclusion. We'll come on back after a short break and choose our player of the match, presented by Adidas. Lots to choose from on the Sporting side. 3 different goal scorers for Sporting. Jake Davis, Josh Coan, each with 1, an own goal, so that not on the Sporting side. Danny Garcia last touched for Colorado. They would love to bust the clean sheet here in stoppage time. And this will result in a goal kick here on the ricochet. It did last touch Colorado. Bakari Bagayoko, the other goal scorer. He has 2, leading all players tonight. Now surpassed the first minute of stoppage time here in the second. Dominant effort as easily sends it away for Sporting. 3 goals in the first half, 2 in the second. Sporting is going to move to 9-12-2 and pick up points 27, 8, 9. Colorado will fall to 6, 10, and 6. They'll stay with 28 points, so Sporting will move above them in the standings. Both teams have been eliminated from playoff contention. But a more than solid effort here tonight for the hosts. End-to-end action from the middle part of the first half 5 total goals in the span of just 40 minutes of gameplay as it's restarted. And there is the final whistle.